Hello, everyone. Greetings, and we're delighted to start the Dubai Chamber's Food E-commerce webinar, organized together with InstaShop. We're happy to welcome you and very delighted with a very wide geography of participants from the Western Hemisphere, all the way to China and India, from South Africa, all the way up north to Russia, Ukraine, and Poland. This shows the importance and interest of the subject matter to our audience, and we hope today's presentations and speeches and insights will be useful in your business development, export development, and marketing activities, and help you gain insights into the UAE's vibrant food e-commerce sector. With this, we'd like to give the floor to Mr. Omar Khan, Director of International Offices at Dubai Chamber of Commerce and Industry, for his welcome remarks. Mr. Khan, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, Sanan. Good time of the day to everybody, wherever you are. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Dubai Chamber of Commerce, I'd like to also welcome you here today. And, today's event is focusing on the food and beverage industry, the potential of Dubai, and with our partner InstaShop, we can see how they created an equalizing platform for small, medium, and large businesses where there is no monopolization of the virtual arena. And that applies equally to what we are experiencing today, which I'll come back to. But just to touch upon the impact of COVID-19, it's brought a lot of changes in many industries. It's woken and shaken up a lot of industries, and the food and beverage industry is no exception. Just to highlight this, the UAE spent more on groceries online last year compared to the physical supermarket purchases, up to 40% more in e-commerce baskets than in physical baskets. Online spending in the UAE in general has gone 255% of what it was the year before because of the corona pandemic. Many people have said that this is the new norm, and while some will go physical, no doubt, people have gotten used to the new delivery channels, have gotten used to the benefits, the speed, the efficiencies as well, which we will touch upon, of course, with our colleagues from InstaShop and also Dr. Nazami here from our economic research team at Dubai Chamber of Commerce and Industry. There's a lot changing and continuing to change. There are lots of markets that also the lessons we have learned that it's very applicable to, whether it's the GCC, whether it's re-exports to the Gulf states, key markets in India, Pakistan, East Africa, and Russia. And Dubai is definitely a hub, a testing hub, a laboratory for a lot of experiments. A successful one, as you know, InstaShop, or you may not know, has just celebrated its 6th anniversary. And last year they were acquired by Delivery Hero for over $360 million. This is the power and the platform of Dubai, and now they are expanding all over the world. But I won't ruin their story. I'll let them, Nikolai, tell you about it. But we are seeing a tremendous growth. Food security has never been more important. And we believe that, of course, e-commerce has tremendous growth in the UAE and the MENA region. In UAE, e-grocery merchandising value grew from $170 million to $300 million in 2019. The food and beverage sector is very lively, very connected. We as Dubai Chamber, also under our umbrella, have the Food and Beverage Manufacturers Group, the Food and Trade Group. We have lots of trade missions, seminars, and as we go to Expo, the opportunities are only going to rise, and we see huge potential. But enough from me. I would just like to thank you and remind you that even as you will learn about InstaShop, as you will learn about how everything is being Uberfied, so too is the business and the way we do business. We are no longer restricted by flights, accommodations, hotel venues, exhibition venues. Yes, they are important. Yes, Gulf food is important, but you don't have to wait for it to come every year. you can now approach us. We will introduce you to trusted partners, and we will also introduce our companies to trusted partners overseas. We can connect virtually. We can authenticate through a trusted handshake of partners, two different companies that can work together, and you don't have to wait to expand and grow your business. So think of us and think of the post-COVID world as something, as having so many advantages coming into play that might make the way of doing business completely different going forward if businesses embrace this. And we hope to that they do, and we hope though that they do with us and our partners. Thank you once again, and I hope you enjoy today's webinar and find it very eye-opening.
Thank you very much, Mr. Omar, for your welcome remarks. We have two presentations today from our esteemed speakers, but before we proceed with these presentations, we'd like to open the floor for a little polling to allow our participants to express their position on certain issues, and one is for food businesses. So kindly let us know what you think about the upcoming poll, which as a food manufacturer or trader, have you sold your products online even before the pandemic? Did you start your e-commerce during the pandemic? And are you still planning, maybe you're still planning to start selling online, so you're still exploring your options. So we'll give our participants 10 seconds to submit their votes. And we're closing our polling in 3, 2, 1. So let's look what the numbers are showing. Interestingly, a large sample of the respondents are still exploring their options. They're currently exploring what their options are. So we hope this webinar will be useful in helping you better understand what the options are for traditional manufacturers and traders to join the e-commerce in the UAE. Thank you very much, everyone. So with this, we'd like to give the floor to Dr. Nizami Imamberdiev. Dr. Nizami is the economic researcher with Dubai Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and his presentation will cover UAE food consumption and e-commerce trends. Dr. Nizami, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Sanan. Maybe Leila has to stop sharing the screen and I can share.
Can you share, Dr. Nizami?
Leila has to stop the
sharing
the screen because it doesn't show. It still shows Leila's screen on mine. Okay, now I can share. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much, Sanan, for organizing such a wonderful and interesting topic. Mr. Omar Khan gave a very nice overview about the UAE growing e-commerce market. But in my presentation, I will mainly focus on the food and beverage market. So in this presentation, after the overview, I will give you a general trend of UAE food and beverage market retail sales, and followed by e-commerce trends in food and beverage market, and the last section will conclude. So in general, food production has been challenging in UAE for several years due to limited arable land, arid climatic conditions, and the lack of fresh water. Therefore, UAE government has done a lot of initiatives and investment to improve the food security levels, such as investing in innovative agriculture system, vertical farming, and also in building the warehousing for the food products, and also investing in agricultural lands of other countries. So this has increased the food security level, as you can see from the left figure, which shows the UAE score in Global Food Security Index, which has been growing since 2014, and in 2019 UAE ranked number 21 in Global Food Security ranking. If we compare the growth of the score over the past 6 years among the GCC countries, you can see that UAE is the best performer in improvement of food security index. The major driving force of the UAE food market is the growing population, high income per capita, and the rising tourist arrivals. So the latest IMF data shows that in 2020, UAE population reached 10.4 million, and the UAE has one of the highest income per capita in the world, and that there's a growing number of tourists that came in 2019, and the coming expo, the number of tourists will grow up and impact positively to the food market. So this was just a short overview of UAE food security level and factors that impacting the food market. So now in the UAE food and beverage market, if you look at this figure, you can see that the growing fresh food retail sales value had a high growth rate if you compare to the packaged food retail sales value. And although the COVID has created some challenges in many sectors, in food sector, we saw the growth, especially between 2019 and 2020. So basically, fresh food retail sales value grew by 6% between these two periods, and the packaged food grew by 4%. If you look at the categories of the packaged food products, you can see that the highest value within this category was the staple food, and during the COVID, it grew by 6%. Also, in the long run, it had a growth rate of 5%. The other high value products include dairy products, snacks, and the cooking ingredients. In fresh food category, the highest value product was meat, but if you look at the growth rate during the COVID period, so the vegetables and nuts had a high growth rate. That's mainly because people were consuming healthy food products, and that has increased the demand for these products. And in the long run, also nuts had very high growth rate compared to other fresh food products. So in this beverage markets, due to lockdown, many people switched the beverage consumption from the restaurant to the retail. So, and that has increased the retail sales of the soft drinks in the UAE. So you can see between 2019 and 2020, soft drinks retail sales value grew by 12%. And in this category, the highest retail sales value was for juice, followed by carbonated bottled water and the other beverage products. And and during COVID, the demand, the consumption of juice has increased significantly, also concentrates. That's mainly because of the high demand for the beverages with vitamins. And as you know, juice contains a lot of vitamins. That has increased the interest and consumption for this product. So if you are living in Dubai, and I believe this is also happening in other countries as well, in the supermarket, the section for the healthy food and the organic food products has grown significantly over the past few years. And the COVID also has a very positive effect on the consumption of the healthy food products. So you can see in this figure left side that, for instance, natural health food retail sales value in UAE reached $493 million in 2020, and it grew with compound average growth rate of 4.9%. And during this COVID time, within the natural health food products, dairy, nuts and seeds, high fiber at high value in 2020. And if we compare the growth rate between 2019 and 2020, nuts and seeds had very high growth rate of 7%. And in organic food products, also had a high growth rate between 2019 and 2020. And if you look at the products categories, so you can see that edible oil had a high growth rate, double-digit growth rate of 14%. That's mainly because people were cooking at home. That has increased the demand for the edible oil. And there's also a growing demand for the free from product categories such as dairy-free, gluten-free, allergen-free, and other food products. And the dairy-free had a high value rate and double-digit growth rate between two periods. So in this figure, you see the future growth of packaged food and the fresh food products using the data of Euromonitor. So in general, over the next 5 years, total packaged food products is expected to grow with compound average growth rate of 3%. And in this category, the high growth product will be cooking ingredients, staple foods, followed by snacks and dairy products. So, in fresh food category, overall, it's expected that it will grow by 5% with compound average growth rate of 5%. And in this category, the demand for nuts and meat and pulses will be higher. As you remember, the consumption of meat was a little bit down overall during the COVID period, but it will catch up in the next 5 years. So if you look at the forecast of healthy food products, so you can see that in general, the high value in this category will be natural healthy products. And in the long run, over the next 5 years, the free from and organic food products will have high growth rate. So this was like the overview of the UAE retail food and beverage products. Now, talking about the e-commerce, so we first looked at the data using the Google Trends data to look how the interest for the home delivery has increased during the COVID outbreak. So if we look at the trend between first week of January 2020 and the second week of April 2020, so you can see that the interest for the Google search for home delivery terms has increased by 676%. And if you compare this result among the UAE Emirates, so you can see that the interest for this search was the highest in Dubai. And of course, in UAE, the search interest was also for food delivery and the grocery delivery. And if you look at the food delivery, so between these two periods, it grew by 52%, but the grocery delivery had a triple-digit growth rate of 430%. So this is the interest in Google for the terms like grocery delivery and food delivery. And using the latest data from the Telecommunication Regulatory Authority of the UAE, so we can see that in total there are 52 purchasing apps in UAE, and the majority of them are then in the supermarket sections, and some applications are focused on specific products like fruits and vegetables or meat and fish only, and some have like even the combination of many food products and also pharmacy. So UAE has one of the highest internet penetration rate, and almost 99% of the population have access to the internet, and almost everyone has at least one smartphone. So that has increased the interest for the online commerce, even in pre-COVID period. So, and the COVID pandemic has significantly impacted in a positive way for the growth of the food and drink internet retailing. So even in the pre-COVID period, you can see that has a growing trend, and between 2019 and 2020, it had a triple-digit growth rate of 255%. The Euromonitor also forecasts that so over the next 5 years, the food and beverage e-commerce retail sales will continue to grow. Of course, 2020 was a peak time, and then the market will adjust, and then the internet retailing for the food and beverage products will continue to grow. So, in general, there are a lot of driving factors for the food sector in post-COVID period, and one of the major ones, as everyone knows, is the vaccine rollout. Maybe you know, like UAE is the first in the world in percentage of population who got at least the first dose of the vaccine, and that has created a confidence among the businesses and the consumers. Also, the normalization with the trade partners such as Israel will also impact positively to the food trade as well as consumption. And all of us are waiting for and excited for the Expo 2020, which will definitely have positive impact on the restaurants, food delivery services, and the retail. And there are a lot of foreign direct investment in food sector. Many Western companies has invested in innovative technology in the food sector. There are many, for instance, vegetables are grown here and organic, and the government has big support for the development of the food sector, especially also smart government initiatives has also driving the e-commerce sector, and as well as affecting positively to the food internet retailing. And Dubai is a touristic city. Of course, the expected low global COVID cases will impact also positively to Dubai, because we will have a lot of number of tourists, and the trade will grow up, and also demand for the food products will go up. So, in conclusion, despite some global supply chain challenges, UAE retail sales of many food products continued to grow during the COVID time, and most likely it will grow in post-COVID period. So among the food products, so you saw that the health and organic food product sales had a strong growth rate in 2020, and it created the new business opportunities in food and beverage market in the UAE. There are many purchasing apps in the UAE. The competition is very high. That also impacts to the growth of the quality, and the interest during the COVID time increased for the grocery delivery, and the online sales of food products had a triple-digit growth rate. As you remember, 255% growth rate between 2019 and 2020, and many organizations have done a lot of surveys about the growing interest for the internet retailing of food and beverage market, and most likely it will become a new norm in post-pandemic period. Dubai offers really a large opportunities for the global food companies in the development of e-commerce sales of food and beverage products. There are a lot of like websites and applications that are focusing on the food products. Even if the food company do not have an e-commerce website, they can use the services of other platforms, and they can post their products and reach to consumers easily. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nizami. Thank you for your insights. It is very interesting to observe how dynamic the UAE market has been. It is interesting to observe how positive growth has been in some areas and massive in even some indicators. So it's good to see that the UAE continues being a very dynamic market with consumers being very engaged in the market, which is a good opportunity for global manufacturers and traders to consider. Before we proceed to our next presentation, we'd like to again open the floor to another polling, and this time we'd like to solicit the opinion of our attendees as users. So as consumers, can you please let us know what percentage of your groceries are you currently buying online these days? So is it more than 90%? Is it more than 50, less than 50, or you're buying all of your groceries physically in stores these days? So we look forward to your answers. And we'll be ending our polling in 3, 2, 1. Thank you very much, everyone, for your feedback. And here are the results. As we can see, 14%, not a lot of people, but still 14% are buying more than 90% of their groceries online. It's a very serious development, and I'm sure it's much, much higher than it was before the pandemic. And a significant portion of us are buying less than 50%, probably are still enjoying going to the physical store and touching the produce and getting the feeling for it. And a third of us are still buying offline in physical stores. So the opportunity is still there to engage these customers. Thank you once again, everyone, for your feedback. And with this, we are like to give the floor to Mr. Nicola Chabakapa, who is the Vice President of Brand Partnerships and excuse me, and Micro Fulfillment Centers at InstaShop, which is GCC's largest online marketplace. Mr. Chabakapa will speak of the InstaShop as a marketplace and brand partnership opportunities in it. So, Nicola, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Just give me a second. Share my screen. Let me know if you can see it. So, thank you, Sanan, and thank you everyone for joining us today. I would also like to thank you, Omar, for the intro. And definitely, I would like to thank you for the UAE and Dubai, this amazing business hub that they have created that is pushing all of us to pull out the best out of ourselves. At the same time, this country is a home for almost 200 nationalities. So my advice to all of you that you still don't have a presence in the country, I would highly advise you to do it because it's an amazing opportunity for you to pilot your products, understand how they work, and optimize from there. So today I will definitely be speaking about InstaShop, but at the same time, I'll also be trying to give you a bit of insights that can support your business in terms of approaching general e-commerce and also UAE and the Middle East as a potential market for you. Now, when we talk about grocery e-commerce, I would like to let you know that we're also seeing 3 sub-channels that you should take into consideration. The first one is your bricks and clicks. So bricks and clicks is your web portals of your retailers that are already operating on the ground. So for example, you have Tesco in the UK, Walmart in the US, Carrefour here in Dubai in the Middle East. Then you have pure players. Your pure players are, the biggest example is Amazon. It's actually, they have the warehousing system where you're selling your products and then those products are sold back on the marketplace back to the consumers. And then you have hyperlocal on-demand marketplace applications or aggregators that are connecting nearby businesses with you as a consumer. So what we're doing is we're a tech provider that is empowering small, medium, and large businesses and providing them a unique piece of technology through which they can reach out to the consumers in the nearby area. So think about all of these places that you have around you that, for example, you need to walk in, or you need to make a phone call, or you're using other places, other means or forms to get the products from there. What we're actually doing is we're bringing these partners online, we're bringing them on board, then we perform marketing activities. You as a consumer, you download the application, and then you have a full assortment of that local business on your phone. You place the order through a very simple process. That order is then dispatched to the shop. They have their own tablets inside that we are providing. They're preparing, creating the order, and then bringing the order back to you. We are following the full process from A to Z, and we're always trying to support if any problem might appear. The value that we're bringing to the table is definitely the new customers for those businesses, higher basket value compared to other forms of buying, that was either by phone or walk-in, and better delivery processes and infrastructure. This is very simply how InstaShop look like. Once you download the app, you can choose from a variety of local businesses around you that are grouped in the supermarkets, pharmacies, pet stores, and so on and so forth. Once you choose the supermarket section, in this case, you can choose the retail shop around you that can deliver under the promised time of 60 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and so on and so forth. The process, the buying process is very simple, and you as a consumer, you can enjoy the variety of full assortment of the nearby businesses on your phone. Now, why InstaShop? So the thing is, as a tech providers, we live and breathe 24/7 technology that is enabling retailers from one side to increase their sales, to jump into a new channel. That technology as such is not exclusive anymore only for the major companies or only for the big retailers. Now it's approachable and applicable for everyone, regardless of how small or big is your business. At the same time, we are able to support all of our partners by the fact that we have teams that are sitting inside of our house and they are fixing the technology, they're supporting business. We can support businesses by providing them insights where they should open up their next store, what is the assortment that they should be having, and so on and so forth. At the same time, we are releasing the competitive pressure from other two channels that are mentioned, which is your bricks and clicks and pure players. In today's world, when everyone is trying to enter this arena, it is very important that someone as InstaShop is part of this program, because what we honestly believe in is that in the future, we are seeing e-commerce marketplace where technology partners such as InstaShop and retailers, they're walking hand in hand and they're supporting their mutual growth. On the other side, and that's honest truth, Corona and COVID situation last year pushed the whole e-commerce industry, let's say 5-6 years in advance. I have seen that 59% of you are still thinking to sell your product, and let's say 40% of you are not buying online as much as they should be, because you have a certain pain points. That is, let's say, for example, you don't believe in the platform, you're afraid of online issues with the payments and so on and so forth. So InstaShop is having almost 80% retention rate because we're solving all of these small issues of the small people that are using the app on a daily level. And this is how we were actually being able to build up the full process and this amazing solution that we have. Now, the story of InstaShop is not an easy story. Omar mentioned that we were sold, but in the last 6 years now, what we have done is we went from the idea that actually nobody wanted. So John Cioris, our CEO and founder, when he first invented this application, he was sitting in his apartment and he was thinking, why do I need to call a local store? Why I just don't have everything on my phone? I click, I press, and they deliver me in 5-10 minutes. When he went down on the market, most of the shops, they said, no, are you crazy? Who is going to allow us to pick their tomato, cucumber, meat for them? Now, what we understand is from the global practice is that if you want your online to be successful, you need to provide the best possible service. It's coming from the back of picking and packing, UI, UX, technology, and so on and so forth. By the lots of dedication and work that we incorporate in the platform, we got our first reputable supermarket. In the first year, we had 30 shops and we're thinking that we are huge. All of that created traction of Forbes that awarded us as one of the most promising startups in the Arab world for 16, 17, and 18. And that also created attraction for some of the venture companies that have seen the opportunity in something that back in the days, it was very small. So they lended us money that supported our growth both horizontally and vertically. And in just a few years, we had 1,500 doors live. All of that together was one amazing journey for us that on the 5th year of our anniversary, we were acquired by Delivery Hero. Today, we operate under the Delivery Hero umbrella, and they're heavily supporting us in terms of the global knowledge and our further growth. The plan for us in the coming years is definitely to continuously improve our services, add new amazing things for the consumers, and to continue to globally expand. Now, the interesting thing is that none of this came over the night. We're basing our success on something that we're calling 5 pillars. One of them is definitely technology. By working in a technology company, and one of the important things, and also as advice for everyone that is on the field or trying to enter the field, is if you're dealing with someone and that someone is having a third party or out of house tech company, you should be aware of it. You need to develop and work on a partnership with people that are having their development teams inside of the house, because it's very important for those that are driving the business that they can action on certain things and improve the process and the platform in a timely manner. The second one is scalability. Now, InstaShop is like an Uber of groceries. So we have a very light asset model where today we can launch any shop in the world by just adding one tablet inside of that shop, putting on the assortment, and that's it. You as a consumer, you can place the order from that shop around you. We're implementing geofencing technologies that are supporting our partners to deliver only how much they can actually deliver. We have lots of micro-localized features. So funny part is we actually know if one of the elevators in the building is not working. We actually know what's the average speed of the elevator in the building. This is how far we are going. And with hundreds of thousands of orders daily, all of this is compiled into artificial intelligence systems that we have that are helping us constantly to improve ourselves. The third pillar is definitely sense of urgency. In today's world, and especially when the corona happened last year, we were the first one on the line of support the local community by onboarding more shops, by providing the delivery to the people in a timely manner. And at the same time, while doing all of that, in the evening, we're coming back and we're thinking about better and faster solutions that can support all of our consumers. If you think about it, a while back, when you were ordering things online, it was like, it's going to come in next few weeks. Then the next few weeks, it become next week become next day become today. Today now is becoming 1 hour, 15 minutes, and so on and so forth. So the future of grocery e-commerce in particular is so-called quick commerce, is the option where we can provide as fast as possible consumer goods back to the consumers. When it comes to the customer centricity, it's a very important pillar of success of any business. As I mentioned, we already have over 80% user retention rate, which means that if 100 people download the application this month, 80 will continue to use next month, but over the course of 3 months, we're coming to 93%. All of these small dots, company culture, sense of urgency, they're all connected inside of this number, and we are very, very much proud of it. Now, there is also a fifth pillar. Nothing of this will happen without the proper people in the organization. When I started back in the days, it was just like 12, 13, 14 of us. Today, as of today, we have around 600 something direct employees. We have around 400 drivers. It's an organization that's growing day by day. But we never forget who we are, from where we are coming, and how we landed here. We have a very, 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 very nice company culture inside that is helping each and every of our employees to feel as a part of InstaShop family, because this is what we are on the end of the day. As I mentioned, today we're operating in, so we started in the UAE, then we expanded to other GCC countries. This year we launched KSA and Kuwait, and in 2017 we started in Oman. Before we joined today's webinar, we had a brief discussion with Omar, and he asked us, like, where do you see the future outside of the GCC? I said the full GCC is an amazing place, Dubai in particular, but Egypt is also a place where it's the next big thing. So we're working very, very hard in the last few years to develop the market from some very simple, basic things, such as internet across the shops and a couple of other things. But it is definitely a next booming place for all of us. Now, when it comes to the potential partnerships and at what InstaShop can do for you guys that are food manufacturers. As I mentioned in our model, how we operate and how we work is that we deliver the products from the nearby supermarkets and the shops that we are working with. One of the key things that needs to happen for you is to be available in those supermarkets, so we can then look into different aspects and support you on that front. But at the same time, we can also give you advices in a sense of, if we're seeing that there is a particular demand for certain products, we can give you market insights, market intelligence that can support your understanding and can fuel in everything that you need in order to make a proper appearance on the market. If we divide things into segments, I would like to mention that for all of those that are fresh products that are appearing based on the seasonalities of that product, we had many experiences with, for example, Washington Apple and some other brands that are coming just on a seasonal level. The thing is, the more you're present on the market, you're opening more opportunities for growth and penetrating in different sub-channels. So together, by working with us, we can support you in that growth and definitely enable the future opportunities across our operating markets and the regions where we are working. That would be the story about InstaShop. And definitely, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask.
Thank you very much, Nicola. Very interesting insights. It's wonderful to see your growth from a simple idea to a very successful startup, and now part of a global enterprise and going further in the region. And I'd like to remind our users and attendees that you can ask questions in the Q&A section, and we'll be happy to bring them to the panelists. With this, I'd like our esteemed speakers to turn their videos back on, please, and we'll be conducting. We'll have a few questions to ask. And my first question would be to Mr. Omar Khan. Mr. Omar, we know that the pandemic has brought much needed sense of urgency to e-commerce development and digitalization in emerging markets across the world. But not everywhere the technologies or capacity exists to do that. So from your observations throughout your global travel and engagement with hundreds of stakeholders throughout the world, how can UAE companies, technology companies such as InstaShop and others with capable technologies and teams to support this effort, how can they enable digital transformation in emerging and underdeveloped markets? Mr. Omar?
Thank you very much. Based on what I've seen, I think there's a tremendous opportunity for a company like InstaShop. They've already talked to us about the efforts that they have to make and the success they're looking at in Egypt, but they have to do a lot of footwork to get there. I think Dubai is always at a crossroads. It's like when the ocean and the rivers and the oceans meet. There is this friction point that breeds creativity, where know-how, from more developers has the potential to be executed into emerging markets, populations that have high demands and requirements, and coming against physical restraints can utilize this. So Dubai is a really good platform where everybody can meet. And if you look at InstaShop, for example, the founder is from Greece. There's somebody from Romania. There's somebody from Russia. It really speaks to how Dubai can bring all these requirements, demands, ideas, resources all together to showcase it in a platform that is competitive. It's quite competitive here. And then there is demand. If I was looking, for example, as Ethiopia, which I've actually on the big screen showed the experience of InstaShop 2 or 3 years back. It's a market that is just opening up. The supply chain and transportation sector is just opening up. There's 120 million people, and there are lots of mom and pop shops there that many people rely on as consumers. Many people rely on as their own business, and they're saying, well, what if the big guys come in? What if, let's say, Carrefour or Giant or anybody else comes in? How will we be protected? Now, in comes InstaShop, where it can add value because it will add regulation to the market, to a free market. It will have standards, it will reward high performers, and it will also create business for the companies themselves while still improving the experience. So again, there's a lot of great opportunities. It's not everything will be on a silver platter. You still have to understand the differences, where here we use credit cards, maybe in Ethiopia or Kenya we would use M-Pesa on our mobile phones, and so on and so forth. But I think there is a big market waiting, and Dubai can be a really good gateway. And if you look at, even today, many people looked at InstaShop and whether it was the supermarkets they're serving, or it was, oh yeah, this idea could be done. Whether you look at Kareem and somebody goes, oh, why would you copy Uber, or you know what you know, nobody, you know, 100 people would say no, where InstaShop, for example, said yes, and they did the footwork as well. There's a tremendous virgin market in 54 nations, just looking at Africa, that this kind of technology and solution can be utilized. And the world with COVID has contracted, returns have reduced, risk profiles have changed, where the African risk profile of the different nations are actually more attractive now. And with the intra-Africa trade, this is even becoming more and more attractive to go into those markets.
Thank you, Mr. Omar. You're right observing that Dubai companies can bring the much needed innovation and dynamism to a lot of markets. And it's very encouraging for us at Dubai Chamber to observe how Dubai Chamber members have adapted, have taken on the many opportunities, have turned challenges into opportunities. So to develop your thought, I'd like to ask a question to Dr. Nizami. Dr. Nizami, you conduct a lot of, you engage heavily with the Dubai Chamber membership as well as the Dubai business community in general. So what has been your experience in the latest year and a half since the pandemic started? How have Dubai Chamber members adapted to this new reality? How have they embraced e-commerce? What policies and what actions are you seeing in the business community that support Dubai's general, reputation as a dynamic and vibrant business hub?
Thank you very much. It's a very interesting question. Actually, if we are only focusing on the food traders or food companies, and I was closely following them, we also conducted several surveys with our members to know how they manage this pandemic period. So what happened, especially there was some problems with the food companies who was serving the hotels and restaurants. So some of them used the social media to put their products on the social media and reach to their customers. Some of them cooperated with the delivery companies such as InstaShop, and also there are companies which use the famous platforms like Amazon and Noon, and they use their services to put their product and reach the customers. So what they have realized that the traditional way of selling in the physical shops is not going to last, especially in post-pandemic period. So the companies who manage and were agile, and they developed in a short time the e-commerce websites. And then when they need the delivery services, they use the service of InstaShop or Karim and other companies. Then on the other hand, since there was a growing demand for the online food products, several supermarkets and the delivery companies hired the new staff to meet the growing demand. So that was and I really surprised how quick the market adapted. Honestly saying, during the lockdown period or before and after, I didn't have any food shortages. So it was very quick and easy. I'm also using the service of InstaShop and the other companies. It was very easy and quick to order food, and it will be delivered to your door. And then there was also issue with the payment. So in the pre-COVID period, there was so many consumers preferring to pay cash when they deliver the product by cash. But then the COVID, since there was a touchless payment and the delivery methodology, many consumers prefer to pay online, so using their credit cards. So that also changed the market. And I think with the pandemic period, so the trust to online websites, to online application has grown significantly, and most likely it will continue in post-COVID period. And many, as I mentioned in my presentation, you can see that, so even in pre-COVID period, the online shop, online retail of food and beverage product was growing, and then the COVID make kind of a jump in the retail sales value. And there are a lot of consulting companies have done like survey with the consumers, like, are you going to buy online products after the COVID outbreak? And the majority of them said that yes, we will continue this tradition. And what happened? So in pre-COVID period, let's say some consumers were buying, let's say, once in a month from online websites. And then during COVID, they increased, they were buying daily. Most likely it will continue in post-COVID period, and it will become a new trend.
Thank you. Thank you. It's interesting to observe how dynamic and agile the bike companies have been, and of course, among them, an example of InstaShop. Nicole, if I can come back to you with my next question. Agility is part of your formula. As you say, you're trying to be on top of the market trends, trying to resolve pain points. We're reading the news and observing the market that some of the online food and grocery delivery companies have announced plans or are already growing their so-called dark stores, micro-fulfillment centers. And I know you as vice president of this function at the InstaShop is doing that as well. So what is your vision for the dark stores being developed in the future, and what's your strategy for that? And do you foresee InstaShop to eventually, once you grow big enough, if you aren't already, to start sourcing your own products for your own needs? Is that an option for you?
Thank you so much. So when it comes to the dark stores and everything, what we notice is that COVID brought also the new elements to the market. It also pushed the FMCGs to develop a certain new product, and for ease of use, they start listing those products only on the pure players, on your Amazon and so on and so forth. In that particular moment, and because InstaShop is a friend of our supermarket partners, we noticed that there is a certain traffic that is diluting from the traditional retail space and going only to the online places. So what we have done in the last few months, we are piloting a micro-fulfillment center that is enabling certain products to be listed in our ecosystem as well. But those products, they're just complementary product to the current network that we have, and they're used only as a competitive added value so we can maintain in our space. As I mentioned previously, I see the future is a marketplace between the retailers and the tech partners such as InstaShop. I do believe honestly that the years of knowledge that was gathered inside of the retail, it should be staying there, because this is lots of processes that have been built over the period of time. And we are there to extend that process and that knowledge and understanding to the online world as well.
Okay. So you see yourself staying on the technology side mostly and supporting, enabling e-commerce for traditional retail as well as other partners.
Correct. That's our mission. Our mission is to support all mamas and papa shops, all bakalas, all the elements of the offline world that are seeking help to extend their reach to the consumer of the future, which is online consumer.
Yes, exactly. I'll asking some questions, building on the questions asked by our audience. Ms. Wendy is asking, how can we have more information about partnerships? What kind of partnerships are brands building with InstaShop? And can, for example, countries participate? Can countries promote their products, maybe certain type of products? Can they have festivals of shopping festivals on your platform? What's your strategy for that?
Definitely. So we have a strategy that's around the data, understanding how your product performs or how your product should be performing versus the competitor. And the second one is the different options that we have inside of application that can support your growth. When it comes to the country-specific products, we had with the French Chamber of Commerce certain events that were around their cheeses, that were, again, specialized or being able or enabled just in certain shops. So we are supporting these type of activations, and definitely we are always happy to onboard these type of partnerships and provide insights back to the partners when it comes to the data and the success on the platform that we can do together.
Great. So, for example, if somebody comes to you with to solicit your feedback or your ideas for a partnership, you can possibly help them identify the best retail partner for that particular product?
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. We can advise where they should be listed, where they should be available, how they should approach the market. At the same time, we would also advise, as I mentioned, there are 200 nationalities, just particularly, let's talk about Dubai and the UAE. Your market, your product should look approachable to everyone. So you focusing only on the certain niche of nationalities that are living in certain countries. Now, let's say I'm talking about the Russian products. You trying to sell Russian products only to the Russian population in the UAE is not the best possible way forward, because I can guarantee there are certain products that are amazing and everyone would like to buy them. So that's why adopt your product, translate things to English, make it a better packaging, make it approachable for everyone, explain the benefits of the product, communicate this with the wider audiences, and definitely there will be a success.
Wonderful. And even though we always refer to the GCC as one, of course, trading block, each market is different. And I suspect now that you're present in increasingly in the neighboring countries in the GCC, you can advise brands and partners on distribution strategies in every market that you're in, basically.
Definitely.
Okay.
Market, and you are aware of that, is a different story. They all have the unique and specific requirements, and that we as a tech provider and together with our partners, we're answering on them properly.
Excellent. Well, thank you. It was very interesting.
Thank you.
We do have some questions in our channel. So does InstaShop have B2B opportunities for food manufacturers to approach InstaShop partners?
As of now, as I mentioned, no, because we are supplying products from the nearby businesses that are serving you as a consumer. And our, let's say, goal is to support you, to advise you about the best possible opportunities where you should be listing your product.
That's right. Okay. So are you considering having your own storage warehouse? I guess micro fulfillment centers will be that.
As I mentioned, MFCs are built to support the ecosystem of retailers that are not carrying the specific e-com SKUs. So it very much depends case to case.
That's right. That's right. Interesting. And would that be commercial secret if I ask you, for example, which products, for example, you've moved to these MFCs lately?
Okay, so I'll tell you one thing. So I'm a parent. I have a kid that's 1.5 years old, and I was struggling to find the proper diapers. And I noticed that certain diaper brands have moved completely to online. And I don't like to buy from platforms that are not InstaShop. And then I said, okay, I need to fix this. And this is how most of the things started. And I started fixing it by providing the big sizes of diapers to all consumers of InstaShop.
Excellent. And I bet you're happy as well, right?
My wife is happy, so I'm happy.
Exactly. Thank you. So thank you very much, everyone, for your insights and your very useful presentations, which we'll be sharing with everyone attending the webinar today. Before we close, I'd like to give an opportunity for everyone to give your final remarks. Mr. Omar.
Well, thank you very much, Sanan. I mean, we've made this event short and sweet and to the point because we know there's so much happening that you do with your time as business leaders. One thing I will want to reiterate is we saw the transportation or the migration of online from the US to Amazon, the eBays, and it took decades to come here in its ultimate form now. And suddenly there is an awakening with Amazon, Souk, before that Jadapado, and Noon and InstaShop, and it's only going to accelerate. And I think there's an amazing opportunity as well within the African markets, but I don't think it's going to take that long. It's probably going to take 3 to 5 years with COVID pushing everybody and pushing the envelope. And that means there are tremendous opportunities in those markets, whether you are a digital marketer, somebody who's doing online services, somebody who's doing digital design of websites and apps. And Dubai is 73% service in terms of its GDP. So do take advantage. Don't sit back and say, well, you know, somebody else is doing it. Look at InstaShop, look at Kareem, look at souk.com. And be bold and enter into those markets. Access all our offices, whether it's in Eurasia, where Mr. Sanan is, and covering many different countries, Africa or China, India, wherever it is, whether you're looking for know-how, resources, or a market to invest and connect with, we at Dubai Chamber can help you through our international offices and through our headquarters. And do stay engaged. Today, we have no excuse, and ignorance is a choice. So do stay engaged, do stay connected with us, do reach out to us, and we'll connect you to our trusted partners. Just like InstaShop is always connecting you to trusted and regulated partners, we will do the same. And we look forward to interacting with you after this event.
Thank you very much, Mr. Omar. Dr. Nizami, what are your remarks on the research side and observations, please?
Thank you, Sanan. I guess the webinar was very good. Like we talked about the trends and about the e-commerce market, and we had the representative from the private sector that talked about what's happening in the industry, and like it's again, like as we saw from the polls, like more than 50% are planning to have e-commerce in their food and beverage sales. And I think this webinar will help them to increase their interest and get more information. And I would suggest also to follow the market, what's happening in the market, because since I showed that there's a growing interest for the health food products, for the organic food products, and also UAE population is very young and dynamic, so they always like to try like different type of products from other countries. As Mr. Nicola mentioned, like when the Russian trader comes with its product, don't focus on only one nation or group of people, and so you have to design to reach to many consumers. And like there's also growing support for the growth of the e-commerce, and like during the COVID time, I had a lot of like I have seen a lot of products that I haven't seen in post-COVID, pre-COVID period. So that's because the e-commerce is big, is huge, so you can have access to millions of people in a short period of time. And I really encourage people to continue to engage in the e-commerce business and reach to consumers directly. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Nizami. Nicola, the final word are yours, sir.
Yeah, I'll just advise everyone just to continuously think digitally and continuously innovate. That's the best way. And of course, definitely to reflect what they were doing and what they're doing. We're living in the world where everything is on a snap of the finger. My taxi, my groceries, things are changing very fast. So we need to think very fast, and we need to be prepared to action very fast.
Very true, and very much in line with what's happening these days, and it's been happening in a year and a half. Changing dynamics, changing situation, but staying agile, staying on top of your feet will be very important for everyone. We'd like to thank our guests, participants of the webinar. Thank you for your time and staying here and listening to this information and insights and presentation from the esteemed panel of speakers. I'd like to remind everyone that we had today with us Mr. Omar Khan, Director of International Offices at Dubai Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Dr. Nizami Manverdiyev, Economic Researcher at Dubai Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and Mr. Nicola Jabbar-Kappa, who is the Vice President of Brand Partnerships and Micro-Fulfillment Centers at InstaShop. We hope this information was useful in helping you understand what the dynamics are, in hopefully encouraging you and motivating you to consider UAE as a launching pad for your GCC exports and direct-to-consumer strategies. And we'll be continuing this series of webinars and look forward to seeing you in the future. So thank you very much, everyone, again, and enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye.
Stay safe.
Thank you.
Thank you.